We're Star Wars costumers here at Hal-Con 2014, and you're watching The Game Code.
Hey guys, I am here with Chris Tulok, not Tuvok, no matter how bad my brain wants to say that at this hour of the evening. Chris, nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. We're here in the game room, for lack of, a better term. I guess they might have an official name for this room, but I'm going to call it the game room because that's what's happening behind us right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're going to be chatting with you as you are basically the coordinator, the D&D, I could call you the D&D master of the room right now if I really wanted to, but the D&D coordinator for Hal-Con, and you're with Wizards of the Coast.
That's correct.
And so we're going to have a little chit-chat about D&D in general, because let's pretend that there was a moment in time where I almost got into playing some D&D with friends.
Almost?
And then somebody said, we need you for like 4 hours a week in a 1 block period, and I don't have that time, so I just kind of watched from the back.
Sure.
So I'm not too educated about it. So what exactly is D&D all about? And just if you were to explain it to somebody who's never gotten into it, what's the pitch? What is it that drags them in?
You want the elevator pitch.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
So what Dungeons & Dragons is it's a fantasy role-playing game. What that is it's basically a game in which you assume the persona of a character, right?
Fantastic.
And you play the game by sitting around with other folks that want to play with you. One person.
Preferably.
Yes, you don't want to play it by yourself. It's really sad.
No, yeah, that's a bad time.
No, it's bad. And one person is called the Dungeon Master. The Dungeon Master is sort of the guide for your game, right? They kind of lead the game. They kind of tell you what your character sees and hears.
It's like a narrator.
Yeah, they're in a narrative role, right?
Okay.
And the group of you, right, kind of are taking place, or you're taking a shared storytelling experience.
Okay.
Right? And so you're all kind of participating in the shared storytelling experience, telling a story about your characters, and you use the rules of the game to kind of just adjudicate what happens. Like, so it's sort of like, oh, well, I hit that guy. No, I didn't hit that guy.
Okay.
I want to see if I can, convince the barkeep to give me an extra drink, right?
Okay,
well, roll
right,
for it, right? That kind of thing.
Okay, all right.
So use the rules for that. But otherwise, pretty much, you're just a group of usually adventurers, right? In sort of a heroic fantasy sort of setting, right? And you're just kind of out, performing quests, slaying monsters, going and saving people that need saving, etc. So that's really the basics of it. I mean, if you see, movies like Lord of the Rings, or even things like Harry Potter or Game of Thrones, or whatever, right? A lot of those elements are in Dungeons & Dragons. All those fantasy elements are there.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm like, you got me halfway there.
Yeah,
that was a pretty solid pitch. It's a pretty solid pitch. Now we got to go the rest of the way now. Now, within these campaigns, I believe you can call them a campaign, as we guess, yeah. These can change and can be written by pretty much anyone, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And have you written any yourself?
Oh yeah, so anybody can do them, right? Anybody can make up their own campaign, right? Their own world if they want to. And that's kind of the really cool thing about Dungeons & Dragons after you get into it, is, you can kind of be an amateur, writer, or you can be an amateur world builder, whatever, right? But really at the heart of it, right, is the storytelling, right? And so it's really about, telling awesome stories.
Right.
And so if you want to play, in a weekly campaign over years and years and keep building on the stories that you want to tell as a group, you can do that. If you just want to show up and just sling some dice and just have a good time, you can do that too. It's totally cool. D&D is super flexible.
Excellent. Okay, 75% of the way there.
Right.
Now, how difficult is it to get into for somebody who's never played it before? Because it's to my understanding that there's a decent rule book involved in this. There is, there's a number of steps involved in just making a single play in D&D. So what exactly if you were initiating somebody into this whole thing, what does a normal game end up looking like just in terms of play?
So the really kind of secret of Dungeons & Dragons is it seems intimidating because there are rules and such. It's not.
Okay.
Dungeons and Dragons is just you and a bunch of buddies sitting around and having a good time, right? kind of telling the story together, right? So really, you don't really need to know a lot of the rules to start playing. That's the great thing about it. Like a lot of games, like board games and things like that, you kind of have to know what you're in for right away.
Right.
A card game, a board game. Like if I sit down and I play a game like, say, poker, or if I play a game like chess, or if I play a board game like Ticket to Ride, I have to know some of the rules before I even start.
Right.
With D&D, you don't really have to know much at all, right? What will happen is because it's a shared experience and you're not really competing against anyone, right? You're just all kind of in it together and you're all there to support people. So, you know, the guy at the table that, you know, knows more than the other people can teach the new player how to play, right? And the dungeon master can kind of help guide you too as well. You know, if you want to just, you know, have somebody help you make a character, they can do that, right? So real simple. The only thing that really matters in Dungeons and Dragons is there's a 20-sided die, which you probably have heard of, this 20-sided die. And what you're going to do is whenever you want to do something in the game that involves some risk of failure, you're going to roll the 20-sided die, you're going to add some number on your character sheet to it, and then you're going to say, this is what I got, and the DM's just going to say, the Dungeon Master's going to say,
this happens or this happens?
or this happens, right? You succeed or you fail, or something else happens, right? And that's really it. That's like the basic rule of the game. And everything else you learn through play. So it doesn't really take that long to really get the gist of the game and sort of how it flows.
Excellent. Okay, all right. You pretty much sold me on this right now. Now I just need to find those times because, like I said before, D&D sessions can go for lengths of time. But I want to get back just for a quick moment and talk again about game and story writing and everything else. Is there, within the D&D community, especially, you know, obviously over the internet and stuff, is there a great collection of these pre-written things that people have access to that other people have done, or is there an official line of campaigns that exist as well? Like how does that work?
Yeah, there is. So there's a few different resources that people can go to get some ideas for like adventures and what they can play. First of all, we have the new edition of the game that came out this year. This is D&D's 40th anniversary.
Oh, nice.
We also released the 5th edition of Dungeons and Dragons this year. It's really accessible, really fun to play. There's a starter set that's out. It's a box set. It's very easy to kind of get in. It's very cheap. I mean, very cheap, not in quality, but cheap sort of in price, right?
Right, of course,
It's affordable is the word I really want.
That's a better word.
That's a much better word. So it's affordable box set. The starter set has everything you need to start playing, and you can sit down with a group of friends and just start playing an adventure that night, right? And you can play it in smaller chunks. You don't have to play for, 3, 4, 5 hours. You can play 1 or 2 hours if you want to, right? A session, each time that you sit down. But that's a great resource. There are other published books that are coming out. We have our first couple of adventures that came out for 5th edition that just got released, so those are out. Then there's a bunch of older stuff too that's available, which you can mine for inspiration and ideas. Or if you happen to be a fan of some of the older editions, you can play those. And then you can just make up your own things. There's tons of resources available. The new Dungeon Master's Guide is coming out in a few weeks, and that's going to have rules on crafting your own adventures and making your own, campaigns. And so that'll be a really good resource too if you're into that.
Awesome. Okay, well, this is a whole new world, so to speak, or several, for that matter, I suppose you could say. That's awesome. And now I think Yazid, I think we now need to start our own campaign. I think that's what needs to happen.
Do it.
I think that's what needs to happen. I'm gonna get my producer in. We're gonna dress up, and I'm gonna look amazing, and it will be wonderful. It'll be absolutely fantastic. All right, so now. This is your first Hal-Con, I believe. Yes. So how has your first Hal-Con gone so far?
It's been amazing. Hal-Con's awesome. I've been treated so well here. Everybody's been so friendly. Fantastic cosplay here. Holy cow.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I was just like blown away by that. And just, the friendliness and welcoming atmosphere here. The community was great. I got a chance to meet a lot of the role-playing gamers over in the gaming area. I got to play in a card game tournament.
Yes.
It was super fun, and I'm really looking forward to the next couple of days.
Excellent, excellent. Now, I also hear that Hal-Con has had the honor of being the premier place for this new adventure, I believe. We were just discussing off camera as we were in between shots. Is a new adventure coming up that's now being just shown here for the first time. So how did that process? How did Hal-Con get chosen for that? and maybe you can tell us a little bit about what that adventure entails.
Sure. So I'm part of the, I run the Dungeons & Dragons organized play at Wizards of the Coast, and our new organized play program is called the D&D Adventurers League.
Okay.
And you can kind of think of it like in the terms of like League as in Justice League in a way, because
Right,
that's kind of
okay.
cool, like a bunch of heroes kind of banding together,
Of
right?
course, yeah.
To fight off, big enemies and
Of
stuff.
course, yeah.
So that's pretty cool, but one of the parts of that is that we put out regular adventures, 1 or 2 a month or so. And what we do is we choose different conventions around North America to debut some of our adventures at.
Okay.
And when we were going through earlier this year the list of conventions in North America that I thought had a lot of potential for Dungeons & Dragons play, Hal-Con kind of popped up. And so I contacted the folks here at Hal-Con and said, "Hey, would you be interested in doing this?" And they were really excited to have it, and so that's why we chose it. And it turns out that in addition to us choosing Hal-Con for an adventure debut,
Right.
The adventure we chose was great because it's sort of a key plot moment. If you think about
okay.
like in a story, right, like that
Yeah.
that turning moment, right,
Sure.
where it's like, oh, the reveal happens,
Okay,
right?
all right,
So
okay.
so that's really cool. So we have an
Excellent.
adventure called Tyranny in Falan, which
Okay.
Falan is a little town in a place called the Forgotten Realms.
Okay.
And people that have played old D&D computer games, it
Sure.
was the place where you played Pool of Radiance, one of the first D&D computer games.
Okay.
And anyway, Tyranny in Falan is an adventure that basically brings a new evil to the city, and the
Okay.
players have to deal with that, right?
All right.
And they may or may not be successful in dealing with it, or
Aha.
they may just have to hope that they can deal with it at a later time, right? It's that
Aha.
powerful
Okay.
and that threatening to them. so.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, again, I'm going to say this again. I don't, because I don't know if the first one's going to be in, so I'm going to mention it one more time. Yazid, you and me, some D&D. It's going to happen. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be wonderful. Now we got B-roll footage behind the scenes. You just saw it, and they're going to put that in there too. It's going to happen. Yazid's going to be on camera. Right now he's thinking. You know what he's thinking? He's thinking, does my hair look okay?
Right.
It looks okay.
It's pretty good.
It's
I
pretty
have to
good.
say.
It's decent
for
hair.
this time of the night. It's doing pretty.
It's
well.
managed to get
It's
through the day
rocking.
pretty well.
Yeah.
It's managed to get through it. Well, thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate
Thanks a lot.
stopping by and
Yeah,
talking with us.
absolutely.
It's been a pleasure. And everybody, go play some D&D.
Do it.